Very often you read in newspapers, magazine articles, and so on, or if you're like me, in medical journals and chemical journals, about an herb or a plant that is very effective in either preventing or even curing a certain disease. There can be research on it and testing, and yet all of a sudden you will hear nothing. Why is this? Is it because they did more research and discovered that it wasn't really effective? The truth of the matter is there are many, many hurdles for a plant to get over in order to be made a drug and for your doctor to be able to dispense that drug. In order for that to happen, a drug has to pass, has to become approved by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. Now this is a very lengthy path that a drug has to take. It takes 10 or 12 years on average from the laboratory to the pharmacy shelves, and the cost of it is between $350 million to $500 million on average. Nobody is going to do this unless they can actually protect that investment. Why would they invest $500,000 in getting something on the shelf only to have every Tom, Dick, and Harry put it out as well, and they get very little market share? So how do they protect it? They have to get a patent. Now, throughout the 19th century and up until fairly recently, it was certainly good law that natural products in their natural state could not be patented. You can't go out and patent the whole field of roses, for example, or a river or water. But if you extracted a natural component of a natural substance, that could be patented. The part of the problem with plants and herbs, although a great many have actually been turned into drugs up until now. For example, aspirin received a patent. It was an extract from the willow plant, and it was granted a patent in 1898. There are many examples of extracts from natural products. Part of the problem with herbs is that many times it is not that you can't simply extract a single component of that plant and that component makes it effective. They've tried this with a number of different plants. For example, pau d'arco. They extracted lapicol from pau d'arco, and they tested that on cancer patients, and they found that they had to use such a high dose that it was actually toxic. Now, when lapicol is a part of the pau d'arco plant, for example, it's in a much smaller proportion, but it is apparently, to some extent at least, still effective, and it is not toxic, not simply because it's in a smaller percent of what you are drinking if you drink pau d'arco tea, but also because there are thousands of other components of that plant that balance it out, make that small amount of lapicol or lapicone. There are several different types of this chemical that make it more effective and also blunt its toxic properties. So many times it's the whole plant itself that is actually the effective principle. This is, for example, true with mushrooms, medicinal mushrooms. Medicinal mushrooms are used in Japan quite widely and in their hospitals because they know that certain of them are very effective against cancer. They are not used here because they cannot pass the test. There is not, you cannot abstract from the turkey tail mushroom, for example, a single polysaccharide that is the effective principle. It's the whole range of polysaccharides that are in turkey tail and in other mushrooms that make them very effective at improving your immune system. So you can't abstract something, and you certainly can't patent turkey tail or or a mushroom in general, because that's a natural product, and you can't find an abstract of it that will actually work. So that's one of the big problems with getting a natural product such as an herb, a mushroom, all different kinds of things to market. But another problem is, and it has arisen since 2013, you have to obtain a patent. You could not obtain in the past a patent for a mushroom, papaya leaf, turmeric, and that kind of thing. But you could potentially get a patent if you abstracted a single active principle that you could demonstrate was useful in curing, ameliorating certain disorders. However, in 2013, the Supreme Court came down with a new decision in a case called the Myriad case. And that case had to do with the patenting of certain genetic sequences. In that case, the Supreme Court said that if the abstract, if you have abstracted something from a natural source, whether it be the human body, in this case it was gene sequences, or whether it be, they actually didn't cover the issue of plants and herbs. They only talked about gene sequences. But they said that the fact that these researchers had abstracted a gene sequence with great difficulty, that it was not patentable because the sequence that they had extracted was really exactly the same as what occurs naturally in your body. It's been isolated, it's been taken out of your body, but the sequence is the same. So it was not patentable. Now the patent office does not have the force of law, but you have to go to them to get your patent. If your patent is not approved at the patent office, now that process usually costs a few $1,000s. But if you know they're not going to approve your patent and you're determined to try to have it, you will have to now go to court. Now you've probably added, you could have added another $1 million to the cost of bringing a drug to fruition. Now the patent office has taken this ruling, which said that if you isolate something and it's just the same, it looks just the same as what exists in nature, that it's not patentable. The patent office has taken this ruling and expanded it and said, okay, we're not even going to go there. Anything that is isolated from a natural product, we are going to deny the patent. Now that pretty much is going to knock out any possibility of extracts from plants and so on becoming patented, and therefore making it possible for them to spend the kind of money it would take to get through the FDA. So if you're going to use herbs, you need to remember that oftentimes it's really is the whole plant that is the effective principle. And you need to remember that in a way you're kind of on your own. I find them very effective, and I'm going to be telling you about all different kinds of herbs and what they may be good for. And I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you.